Hello and welcome to this what if video regarding XMen Legends 3 and if there will ever be a new XMen Legends game. XMen Legends was a game that was brought to us in 2004 for GameCube, PlayStation 2 and Xbox, developed by Ravensoft and published by Activision. It was followed by XMen Legends 2 Rise of Apocalypse in 2005. These two games were the precursor to the Marvel Ultimate Alliance series, which followed the same format. The first of which was released in 2006, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 was released in 2009. Then 10 years later, we finally got Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order, in 2019. But no X-Men Legends 3, which is a shame, because I think there are tons of opportunities to create a new X-Men Legends game reminiscent of the original 2. But first, for those of you unfamiliar with the original games, here is a quick rundown. The XMen Legends series is a dungeon crawler. You have set maps that you can explore, but with specific missions in mind and an endpoint, similar to how Minecraft Dungeons works. You have a roster of characters, more of which get unlocked as the game progresses, and you choose a team of 4 characters. You can freely swap between the characters if playing solo, but can have up to 4 people playing together simultaneously, with each person controlling their own character. Any uncontrolled characters are controlled by the AI. As you level up, you can either unlock new abilities or improve the strength of ones you already have, as well as being able to increase certain stats such as health or energy. The first XMen Legends game had an incredible story, and was split into following the path of a girl called Alison Cressmere, who had just discovered her mutant powers, and between the main X-Men team travelling around the world to stop Magneto and the Brotherhood of Mutants. Being the first installment, there were some minor limitations regarding the number of powers and abilities available, and character unlocking. Certain characters could only be unlocked during certain parts of the game, and there was no New Game Plus option that allowed you to start a new game keeping your previous unlocked characters. That was fixed, however, in X-Men Legends 2, but the number of unlockable characters was incredibly low, only 3 in total. But the amount of abilities available, both passive and active, was improved dramatically, and the story was really good too. Not quite as epic as the first game, but still really good. Plus, you got to play as the baddies, and everyone loves to play as a villain, don't they? Why might there have been a third X-Men Legends? In the final cutscene of X-Men Legends, Apocalypse appears, signifying that there was a possibility of X-Men Legends 2, and there was, with Apocalypse being the main villain. At the end of X-Men Legends 2, standing on one of the pyramids and not entirely clear to see, we have Mr. Sinister laughing at Apocalypse's failure, that he may have played a part in. This may have been a potential clue as to the main villain of X-Men Legends 3, if one was being considered to be Mr. Sinister. So, if Mr. Sinister was going to be the next main villain, what would the potential main story arc be? There are a number of possible ideas, but there's a tendency to remain close to the original source material, so that's where we'll begin. One thing we know about Mr. Sinister is that he believed that the combined DNA of Cyclops and Jean Grey, the Phoenix, could create the perfect mutant. Being a man who prefers to act through agents, it may be that he uses an agent or agents to sedate and capture both Cyclops and Jean Grey so he can experiment with their DNA. We know that Mr. Sinister is able to create clones quite easily, as he uses the DNA of his marauders to create clones of them should one of them die. These clones also keep all the knowledge, personality, etc. that their previous incarnation possessed. The marauders could be the main boss fights and mini-bosses of the game. Madeline Pryor is a clone of Jean Grey that Cyclops marries, as he believes Jean is dead, so this story arc could form part of the foundation of X-Men Legends 3. Nathan Summers, also known as Cable, is actually the child of Cyclops and Madeline Pryor, who is a clone of Jean Grey, who is sent to the future after he is infected with a techno-organic virus. He could return to the present from the future in an attempt to find and kill Apocalypse, unaware of the events that had already occurred during X-Men Legends 2. It could be that Cable tries to stop the X-Men, at least temporarily, from rescuing Cyclops and Jean, because if they are successful, it would mean that he is never born from the union of Cyclops and Madeline Pryor, so he sets himself against the X-Men in order to save his future self. As part of this arc, we could take some inspiration from X-Men Legends in the form of flashback mission sequences. In X-Men Legends, we went back to the origin of Wolverine, we visited the 70s when the Sentinels attacked New York, and we revisited the time the Juggernaut destroyed the mansion in an attempt to find Professor X. We could have a flashback sequence where Jean has gone missing, Cyclops has set out to find her, and it is through this flashback, or potentially a false memory implanted by Mrs. Sinister into Cyclops' brain, that Cyclops is convinced that Jean has died. Due to the timeline sequencing, the original X-Men might all be on the older side and no longer doing field missions, so we could have a younger set of mutants taking the lead, such as the New Mutants, which consists of Cypher, a mutant with the ability to decipher any language. He could be a support role similar to Beast or Forge in the previous X-Men Legends games. Magma, she has the ability to control fire and lava, create earthquakes, and transform into a living fire lava person. This could be confusing here, because Magma from New Mutants is a girl named Amara Aquila, not the same Magma from the first X-Men Legends Alison Cressmere, although this could be an interesting connection I'll revisit in a moment. Then we have Dani Moonstar. She can create sonic illusions, possesses telepathy, can create neural arrows, and has the potential to create solid 3D objects from the illusions she creates, although this is at the top end of her limits. She uses a bow and arrow while fighting, adding a ranged character option that uses physical damage rather than energy or elemental. Sunspot, he's an ex-member of the team. Now he possesses similar pyromantic abilities as Magma, but he can also absorb and rechannel solar energy to heal and survive in space. He also has superhumanly enhanced strength, speed, reflexes, durability, which would all allow for a character that has multiple build options. You could build a souped up energy based character, a heavy brawler, a tank that can take hits and heal himself. There are so many good options for Sunspot. And the last member is Warlock. Warlock is from a race of techno-organic life forms. Because of this, he doesn't really have a form and is able to shapeshift. Usually this is limited to weapons, but with nanotech enhancements he can change into different forms as well. It would be cool to have a character that could transform into a huge tank, or transform into a smaller speedy character, depending on the situation. He also has multiple forms of energy projection and absorption. Warlock can also survive in space, which could lead to a side quest in which he and Sunspot get launched into space, may be ejected from a ship somehow, and have to find a way back to the rest of the team. So that's the main premise for the X-Men team. There is certainly room for more members from the classic lineup, and even new members. But let's briefly go back to Magma and the confusion between Amara Aquila and Alison Cressmere. There's a section of Amara's history in which she left her homeland of Nova Roma due to fears of an attack. After much time away, she had to return for her arranged marriage. Amara gets captured, a situation involving Selene, the Black Queen, is resolved, in which people had lost their memories and were now starting to regain their own memories. It is at this time that Amara is told she is actually named Alison Cressmere, and is of British descent. Whether Amara Aquila and Alison Cressmere are the same person, I don't know, but they share the same abilities. At the very least, there could be a side quest involving the visit to Nova Roma and Selene. Perhaps the Magma we have here is the same one from XMen Legends, but maybe she forgot her true identity after she saved the planet at the end of XMen Legends. It could be another moment where Professor X has gone over the line and used mental blocks to prevent her from accessing certain memories, as he did with Jean Grey and the Phoenix Force. Maybe she learns of this through a telepath such as Emma Frost, the White Queen, who is known for playing both sides against each other to reach her own goals. This could lead to Magma having an outburst in which she unleashes her vast amount of power that she'd struggled to control in the first X-Men Legends, causing earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, and the team has to find a way to subdue her. As you can see, I've only briefly explored a couple of potential story arcs. Bear in mind that there tends to be a lot of crossover in the comics, or changes of timelines and teams, so things may not plan out perfectly. One thing that made X-Men Legends and X-Men Legends 2 so great was the storylines. Not only was there a great main storyline, but there were some excellent secondary storylines that you could have missed if you didn't look around enough. This happened to me during my first playthrough of X-Men Legends 2, in which during the 4th act in New York, there was an entire sewer section that I missed where Banshee could be found. If you didn't explore the X-Mansion full in XMen Legends, you could very easily miss the flashback sequences. These were side quests that were worth doing as they added extra value to your gameplay and made the exploration rewarding. I'm not going to go into too much detail regarding powers or abilities for the characters. I think XMen Legends 2 nailed it, so I would like a setup similar to that. Depending on the character, there were multiple abilities you could assign to your character, although only 3 basic and 1 extreme move could be registered for quick use at a time. There was a range of close combat attacks for melee characters, either powerful single target attacks or less powerful sweeping attacks or AoE. They also had buffs that could increase damage output, speed, or reduce damage. Some characters had debuffs they could use on enemies. There was also a ton of passive abilities you could equip as well, costing skill points the same way powers do. These could increase HP or energy levels by a given percentage. Some characters could have resistances to certain types of attacks. Some abilities increase critical hit chance or knockback. This improved massively on the original format in XMen Legends and gave so much variety for character builds. When they released Marvel Ultimate Alliance, they went back a step by severely reducing the passive skills, limiting them to unlockable abilities on their costumes instead. Different skins had different passive abilities. I won't mention Ultimate Alliance 2 because it was a longer waited game that disappointed on every level for me. Just copy XMen Legends 2 because it was great. So will there ever be another XMen Legends game? Honestly, I don't know, and I doubt it. It all comes down to licensing and demand and what developers want to make. I think at the moment the focus has been aimed at the Avengers, following the success of the MCU as a whole, which has been great for the community. As a result of that, however, anyone who isn't an Avenger or part of the MCU has gotten left behind when it comes to video games. We've had the Avengers game, which looks good, but reviews I've seen haven't been great. We've also had the PlayStation exclusive Spider-Man games. It was good to see Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 come out in 2019, which I'll confess I have but haven't completed. I'd still like an X-Men game though. They've always been my favourite team, and the majority of my favourite characters are from the X-Men. If you look back at some of the best Marvel games, they contain the X-Men or X-Men characters. The fighting game, X-Men Children of the Atom, X-Men Mutant Academy 1 and 2, X-Men Next Dimension, X2 Wolverine's Revenge, and of course XMen Legends 1 and 2, and Marvel Ultimate Alliance. If you'd love to see another X-Men game, let me know by either liking this video or leaving a comment and telling me what story arcs you'd like to see, or what underused heroes or villains you'd like to see take the spotlight for once. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.